Okay, can you hear us now? It's going to take a second.
Basically, we were just asking if you could hear us, so you didn't miss anything yet.
All right, let us know if you can hear us now.
Yep.
Yay!
All right. Jungle Boogie.
Woo, woo!
Jungle Boogie.
A-chicka-cha.
Thanks for participation. Really appreciate that. And thank God it's Friday.
Nice. Woo! I like your shirt. I have the craft shirt, and it's not just the shirt that you need to know about, because I finally got something that 90s me always wanted. The craft skirt. What? Yeah.
Yeah.
That camera angle is making Mama look pretty tick, but oh well. I think that's in now.
Yeah, right. Who we got? We got Brandon.
Oh, I'm already screaming in the mic. Is it too loud? Ah, shitballs. All right, I'm going to turn the mic more towards Danny because he's quieter.
Cool shirt of the day needs to come. I do actually have a couple new ones. But
all right.
Not a whole lot. Probably about 5 ones that I haven't posted yet. I'll definitely do that.
I've been posting some of mine, but I'm just not really good at doing it every day.
Yeah, it's been a while, I think, since you posted one.
It's been a while since I posted a new shirt to make Danny happy, because nobody cares about my shirts.
Cheers, though. It actually is
Cheers
our
to
Friday,
you.
as we both have the rest of the day.
Yes. And this is a special double event. I don't know how many of you know that I have my own spin-off channel. It's pretty small. Not gonna lie. It's a little baby channel. But it's a spin-off of Horror Addicts where I really focus on the obscure movies maybe that are underrated, movies that are kind of so bad it's good, movies that have been forgotten. I try to really focus on those kind of films. I'm going to be doing some more new release ones, reviews coming up, and some more real versus real, just because I've been doing and all the gory details in Grizzly 2, and it's half an hour long, and ain't nobody should talk about Grizzly 2 for half an hour.
Yeah, you should probably have just done the bare bones.
Yeah. Oh, Martin, I go deep. I go so deep into that bear. So deep into the bear. You're going to love it. At least Martin will be happy.
Deep into that picnic basket?
Yes. So, tonight we're bringing you a special double feature between both of our channels. We're starting here on Horror Addicts. For the next hour, we're going to be talking about the best movies so far of 2021, our picks. And, if you have different opinions, or if you like a movie that we don't like, or vice versa, that's all good, because we all like horror, so we're all pretty much the best people. So, definitely, we are, these are just our opinions, and they're not, definitive of all opinions.
Shout out to Tony, our friend down in Florida.
Yay!
And to DMC Campbell. He's in New Zealand.
So
it's Saturday for him.
Is he the one who sent us the movies?
Yes, so thank you. Thank you.
I want to thank you so much for sending us The Stand and Leprechaun Returns. That was so sweet of you. Thank you so much. It was really sweet of you.
Yeah. He's a badass.
And then the next hour will be over on my channel. There's links in the description, so if you're not familiar with it, we're going to talk about the worst of the year. And oh boy, I have so many to talk about. But let's get started with the best. I'm going to start with you. What is your favorite movie so far this year?
Favorite. Doesn't mean it's probably the best, but my favorite, and I think it is good, obviously, but it's probably Willy's Wonderland. I have a lot of fun watching that movie. I've seen it a bunch of times. It's one of those movies I make other people watch because it's got the crazy Cage, who's a mute this time.
And honestly, that movie hasn't been out very long, and I've already watched it at least 4 times.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really rewatchable.
It is. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's basically a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and they're fighting Cage, but instead of being like a wimpy security guard who just shuts doors and stuff, Cage just goes nuts and beats the living hell out of these animatronics, and it's awesome. And
one of the things I like about this, people often say it's a strange choice hiring Nicolas Cage, the meme guy, for a silent role. He wanted to do this because he's a big fan of silent films, and he wanted to kind of explore that acting style where if you watch the silent films, they had to be very exaggerated in their in their actions, which he does very well. And I think it also goes to show that he doesn't need the meme lines to be Nicolas Cage. He's entirely Nicolas Cage in this. He has some great Nicolas Cage moments, so those of you who are fans of that kind of meme aspect of him are going to have a great time. And I mean, there are some minor flaws to it that I agree with some of the reviews I've seen. There's a couple places where the effects aren't great, but I think the coloring in this movie is fucking gorgeous. I love the coloring and I love the soundtrack. The guy who does the voice of Willy, the animatronic, also does the soundtrack, and it's incredible. I've listened to it so many times.
Yeah, she gets Alexa to blast it here every once in a while. It's pretty fun. And besides, Cage doesn't really need to talk because he's always been great at emotioning with his soul windows.
Open up those soul windows.
Yeah, he's always had great eyes and stuff, like for that crazy stuff. Tony, is it on Greasy Strangler level? Well, I don't know if it's as greasy, but it's as cheesy. That's for sure.
I feel like it's not necessarily like Greasy Strangler level, because the Greasy Strangler is one of those ones where it just kind of hits you out of nowhere. This movie is exactly what it presents itself to be. It is a Five Nights at Freddy's sort of ripoff. It gives you that. It's that kind of horror, if that's the kind of horror that scares you. It gives you Nicolas Cage. I mean, you should be able to know what you're getting into from looking at the poster, and it entirely delivers on that premise.
Plus, they deliver in different ways, where The Greasy Strangler is a very dialogue-driven movie, and it's so quotable. This is more of what you're seeing is, you're believing it.
Yeah, and a lot of, like, physical comedy and stuff. Like,
yeah.
If you're fans, I'm not saying it's on this level, so don't misunderstand me, but if you're fans of movies that are very physical, like Evil Dead 2 and stuff, you're getting more of that kind of comedy in that. This kind of slapsticky kind of comedy.
Yeah. With, like, some quick cut montages, kind of like when Bruce was putting his chainsaw together, also where he's drinking and playing pinball. There's some similarities.
And, yeah, I really just want to have a dinner of Punch Pop and some Cheddar Goblin.
Ooh, Cheddar Goblin.
Oh, Cheddar Goblin's so good. And Chili Bandit.
Yeah, we got to get some Chili Bandit in there.
Chili Bandit. All right, moving on. I'm going to talk about my favorite movie of the year, unless there's something else you want to say. Sorry.
No?
Like, steamrolled the poor man, Maximum Overdrive style.
My only complaint, I guess, with Willy is there's a few extra characters that just are there for some pad time and to boost up maybe the kill count, I guess, and I didn't need them. But other than that, it's great.
Oh, Brandon wants to know where you need to be to watch Mandy in Color Out of Space because you cannot watch it sober. Willy's Wonderland, I think it's a good 2 beers in movie. I think if you do imbibe too many of the Colorado State recreational things, you're going to have a bad trip.
Yeah.
Like, in all honesty. Also, Danny, say hi to Mom. She's watching in her bedroom.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dory.
Yeah. Hi, Mom. I saw my mom was on there, too, at one point.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I don't know if she still is, but...
We're so lucky that our moms watch our show.
Our moms think we're cool.
They really do. So, like...
And they're cool.
Yeah.
So.
And they're really cool. My mom's an actual mummy. So, yeah. What are you going to do?
Kind of thanks to me and Law.
Pretty rad. No thanks to you. No thanks.
She wouldn't be a mummy if it wasn't for me.
You turned my mom into a mummy. You locked her in a sarcophagus, and my son had to save her.
Something like that. Anyway.
You're a terrible person, but I love you. Anyway, moving on. We're going to bring that up in therapy on Monday. Anyway, you guys did not hear that.
I don't go to therapy.
My favorite movie of the year. Okay, actually, there is a difference between favorite and what I consider to be the best.
Well, exactly. That's what
I'm going to talk about the movie that I enjoyed the most this year, the one I've rewatched the most, the one when I hear people haven't seen it, I'm like, oh, guess what we're watching right now? And that's PG Goreman.
PG Goreman.
Tell me
my second favorite. Well, if you like Gua, and I love Gua, you might be a fan of this. If you wanted to like a really kind of edgy R-rated Power Rangers, you probably also would like this. If you just wanted a E.T. who murders people at will, you'd probably like this.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Lots of practical.
It feels entirely nostalgic without feeling unoriginal. It's about these children. They stumble upon an alien who has been imprisoned here on Earth, and they have power over him. So that is used to great comedic effect because they have this demon alien guy who has killed hordes of beings across the universe, and they're like, yeah, you're gonna be in our rock band, and you're gonna turn somebody I don't like into a creature, and just it's really, really funny. The line delivery in this is better than my line delivery, and it's entirely quotable. I think I quote this pretty much every time I make dinner now.
Yeah.
Yeah, made my family a delicious meal.
Yeah, the dad is hilarious. Like he's
from The Editor, and he's from Father's Day. He's been on a lot of great stuff.
And he's hilarious. He's basically a live-action version of Jerry from Rick and Morty in this, though. I mean, the parents both are. Even the mom's basically Beth. Yeah. And the kids are kind of like Mandy and Grim.
Yeah,
Billy and Mandy. That's basically what the kids are. They're not quite as likable. The kids actually do kind of annoy me a little bit. Other than that, though...
The performance of the girl gets on your nerves, and the first time I watched this, I was like, "Oh, great, we're gonna be stuck with this kid for an hour and a half." But I don't know, I've warmed up to it just because we don't get to see little girls be assholes in enough stuff.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that a little girl is allowed to be an asshole. So for that reason alone, I'm kind of on board. And she's not unwatchable. Like, I mean, she's got some funny lines.
The first time, she kind of, like, eked me a little bit, but then I've seen it about 4 or 5 times now, and honestly, I've kind of have an appreciation for her character, and, like, a little more of it. She's still a little annoying, but I appreciate that character. And, like I said, they have a Grimm, which is PG. He's a space demon who just kills people, and some wicked cool deaths in this movie.
Oh, my mother says we look great. Yay, thank you, Mom. I bet you do too. So I bet Dory looks great. Dory's her little dog. Anyway, for you gore hounds, this one delivers, and I love that it's all pretty much practical. What CGI they use for like flashbacks and background stuff. Again, another great original soundtrack. If you're like me and you loved in the 80s and 90s when the credits would play and you would get songs about the movie, like a rap or a metal song about the movie, like I fucking love that shit. Yeah. This movie has both, a rap and a metal song. And they're fantastic. And the score is fantastic. So this is so much fun. It's streaming now on Shudder. If you have not seen it, you need to, like, watch that, like, tonight. Later.
Yeah. A lot of people have compared PG to Odorous. I can say that's somewhat fair, but though I would say he's a little more of a Destructo, like one of the arch enemies of gore, because he's more about focusing on killing. He doesn't really care about rock star stuff much. He does like hunky boys, though. Or does he? I'm not sure, but I think he does. Yeah, or do I?
And he is very he views like the destruction of other beings as a craft. Like he actually tortures somebody so creatively, and he's so proud of it until it gets ruined.
Yeah. He's also like a war hungry version of what's her name from Weird Science. She even turns like this kid into a
Lisa?
Yeah, he turns like a kid into a brain the same way that she turns a.
And honestly, I think you kind of need the girl. I mean, thinking about it, look, you kind of need the girl to be an asshole in this because PG is an asshole. If you had Elliot from E.T. in this, he'd be like, I'm going to kill you the first chance I get.
Yeah. It's
the fact that they kind of see that they're kind of assholes, but you can also be an asshole without killing everybody.
They get
that's a choice. It's definitely a vibe. Not a vibe that Danny goes with, but it's a vibe that some people go with, and it works in this movie.
Yeah. Their mutual assholeness is, like, kind of respected between the two of them.
And we got a super chat from New Zealand!
Fuck yeah, Campbell!
Yes! Thank you, DMC Campbell. He says, Dice Roland gave a great review of Psycho Goreman. Dice is incredible. If you're not subscribed to her, definitely do that. And he said he's going to check this out on Shudder, which you 100% should do. Yeah. All right, next movie.
All right. Well, an amazing movie, and she's already going to get my vote for an Oscar as Best Actress. Jacob's Wife was a great movie.
Incredible. Barbara Crampton is in this, and she's playing a pastor's wife, and she's very much kind of in his shadow. Like, she does so much for him. She's very unappreciated. She kind of does whatever he tells her to, and you know, she has these regrets. Like, maybe she married the wrong guy, or maybe she wasted her life, or she didn't travel enough. And I think as we get older, these are things that are very relatable. Well, she is tempted by a fling with, you know,
an old high school crush.
Old crush.
Yeah.
And that leads to, without giving away spoiler, she becomes a vampire.
Yeah.
And now she has all this power and stuff, and so it works on a horror movie level. Like, you've got your blood and your gore. Bonnie Aarons is in this as, like, the master vampire. But it also works in talking a lot about, like, you know, gender roles and aging and marriage. And what I really, really love about this is I don't want to tell you what happens, but in the third act, it takes a swerve that I didn't see happening in this. And I think ultimately this movie has a lot to say about our gender roles, particularly our gender roles within a marriage. And kind of what marriage is all about. You know, marriages get rocky, you know, and this movie shows that in full bloody force. But I honestly think this movie is so much more real and also romantic than any of your movies that claim to be romantic. This movie doesn't claim to be romantic. But I would say at the end of the day, the person who stands by you, that's the person, you know, that's more romantic than, you know, Edward saving you from a car.
Yeah, some people make Some people will give you their free time. Some people make free time to be with you. There's a difference.
And it's done in a very realistic way. Like, the people in this deal with the situation as it unravels, and they don't instantly do the right things, and they don't instantly have all the answers. And ultimately, you know, it's kind of left to, you know, where this is going to go. But definitely really a good movie to watch. A little low budget, but the performances really elevate it to that higher level.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible. And one you need to watch, one that's flying under a lot of people's radars right now. But the performances in this, awesome. Awesome all around.
Yes.
And Bonnie Aarons, girl. Nailed that vampire girl. Nailed it.
Fair point. Fair point. I like pizza, too.
So, and don't worry. I mean, the way I'm presenting it, it probably sounds like it's going to be very, very preachy. It isn't. You can have just a fun ride with this. You don't have to discuss anything. You can just enjoy this as an original vampire film, too.
Yeah.
It's very funny. It's way more funny than I thought it would be going into it.
Mm-hmm. You got another one?
You got any more?
I just did Jacob's wife, so.
Oh, yeah. Saint Maud. Why am I clapping so much? I think it's like a I just turned 40 thing. And I'm clapping all the time. It could be worse.
Wish Gory a happy belated birthday.
It was a while ago. Hey, my buddy Dino is here. What's up, man? And Saint Maud. So Danny hasn't seen Saint Maud, so I'm going to keep this very, 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 very spoiler free. And I find that there's two kinds of people who have seen Saint Maud. Those who really like it and those who really hate it. And yes, this is one of those movies that's entirely open to interpretation and stuff, and you can look up what the director says, but in my personal opinion, once a movie is out there, it is art, and you can interpret it any goddamn way you want. So this movie is about a girl who has really grasped onto religion as a means of survival. She went through a harrowing experience where she lost a patient. She was a nurse, and now she's a private nurse, and finding Jesus got her through it. But this person that she's caring for in hospice doesn't believe in Jesus. She's very does all the things that most good Christian people don't abide in. Has sexual relations with other women, and she has big parties and stuff, and she just wants to go out, having a lot of fun. And Maud thinks it's up to her to save this woman's soul. And as things progress, Maud has, challenges with her faith and stuff. But so you can watch this and you can go, okay, well, is she crazy or is she not crazy? And that's entirely valid. That's a lot of what the director, I think, is going for based on the interviews I've read. I enjoyed watching this as a companion to The Witch. There's a little cockroach in this, and I like to think of that little cockroach as Black Phillip. So if you've seen this, I think you know enough to where you can kind of look at that and see what you think of it. And if not, I don't know. I think for me, that's the more fun way to watch this movie. It's the more horrific way, because this movie doesn't have a lot of horror. But I think when you watch it in that light, as essentially the horror of somebody crying out to the universe for a savior, and maybe the thing that answers wasn't Jesus. Maybe somebody answered, but it's not anything holy, and it's enjoying taking advantage of somebody who's very, very desperate.
Tony, I'm looking at you.
And
happy birthday from Fairpoint Station.
Thank you. Oh,
in my head, I read that from Ragnarok, Thor Ragnarok, his spaceship.
It's my birthday.
But happy birthday.
So a big recommendation to Saint Maud. It's going to be a little slow for a lot of people, and that just hang in there, because it's actually a pretty short movie. It's streaming on Amazon Prime, and that ending will stick with you. It makes up for it in that third act.
That's the reason why I haven't watched it yet, because it's on Prime, and only one of our TVs is set up with Prime. I need to get on that. But it does look good. I've been meaning to watch that. Okay, well, I'm going to talk about Werewolves Within.
Okay.
I actually rather enjoyed that. It was hilarious. It's kind of a whodidit.
It's based on the game.
Yeah, which is a fun game that we've played several times with lols. I like that game a lot, actually. There's no knocking on a table and putting your head down, but there's a lot of fun. It's about a guy who's gone to be a park ranger in a small town.
He's like a sheriff or something.
I thought he was a ranger of something.
Bro, I don't know, but he's in charge of the people.
Yeah.
I don't know. He has some kind of
authority.
Authority.
And There's also a new mail lady, and everybody's up there, but there's a giant snowstorm, and they're all, like, snowed in, and they can't really leave, and then, like, all this crazy stuff happens, and it's all kind of pointing to a werewolf, but is there really a werewolf? Are there more than one werewolves?
And if so, who are the werewolves?
You get a fun chance of picking out who they are. I guessed right away one of the werewolves, that's all I'm going to say, but it was still fun. It also left me guessing on other things, and there is some pretty cool kills in that movie, so.
Some good kills. I really liked the actors, the AT&T girls in this. I liked her, and I thought that was great. My only reservation with this movie is some of the CGI is pretty hack. But beyond that, which only really gets bad in the third act, this is a lot of fun, and it's really well written. It's by the same guy who...
Scare Me?
Yeah, he wrote Scare Me. Really funny. Or actually, no, did he write it? I actually don't know. I think he might have directed it and somebody else wrote it. You guys can correct me in the comments. He had something to do with it. He either directed it or wrote it.
He wrote Scare Me, though.
Yes, he wrote and directed Scare Me. I think actually he directed it and somebody else wrote it. Yeah. But the writing is really good, and it's really funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So I like that. I think it's pretty scary.
So the next one I want to talk about is Wrong Turn.
Oh, the new Wrong Turn, which has nothing to do with the old Wrong Turns. My only problem with it...
They took a wrong turn? Well, actually, they don't really.
That's actually my only problem with the movie.
They don't really take a wrong turn.
They call it wrong turn.
They make a decision to go off the path. It's more akin to American Wolf in London than Wrong Turn.
They were like...
They choose to go off the path after they were warned not to.
Yeah, and so... I don't know why it's called Wrong Turn. It has nothing to do with the original franchise. And they don't take a wrong turn. That's my only complaint. It was a really good movie, though. I just think they should have gave it a different title.
I think, honestly, yeah, I mean, if you are coming into this because you love the Wrong Turn movies, you might be disappointed, but I'm not a huge fan of those movies. I've only seen the first one. It wasn't anything remarkable to me, so I'm not super attached to it. So I'm not coming at it from that place, but there were some amazing kills in this. The gore is spot on. It's very scary, and surprisingly... It's very, it gives you a lot to think about, and it really made me question a lot of things about, you know, being American and freedom and just lots of things like that, you know, like, I don't know, I don't want to spoil anything, but, you know, it has a lot to say, even though it's a horror movie and you can enjoy it as such. I know I keep saying that about a lot of movies, but this one really left me with a lot to think about, and I really think that it's got the best after credits sequence I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
During credits sequence I've ever seen.
It's
very surprising. I didn't anticipate where this was going, and I thought the script was solid.
Yeah, the first act is like pretty much what I expected, but then after that, like the second act and the third act were like way different, so... I didn't see that coming. I liked it. Some pretty brutal kills in there, making paste. People getting...
Matthew Modine is great. You know, from Stranger Things, he's in it.
Yeah. People just get pulverized.
And Anthony Stewart Head's daughter is in it, and she's pretty rad in it.
Yeah, actually. So, I recommend you take the right turn and watch Wrong Turn.
Yes. All right. Your next pick.
My next pick.
We're doing great on time.
Fair point. Says AT&T girl equals hard eyes. If you want to see her in a whole different way, go check out Wrestling Isn't Wrestling. It's on YouTube.
Yeah,
she's the Ultimate Warrior. She plays the Ultimate Warrior, like, because it's about wrestling, but it just has a bunch of women like playing these wrestling characters. It's hilarious. It's mostly about Triple H, but it's funny.
And as we go along, share your thoughts in the chats. We haven't seen everything.
No.
It looks like Tony Rosa has just seen the Forever Purge. That's on my watch list. I really want to see that. And he said it was decent. My mom, Nettie, in the chat there, she really liked Greenland, which is more of an apocalyptic thriller, but she thought that was pretty awesome.
Nice.
So there's a few more recommendations for you.
Yeah,
I have not seen either film.
Hopefully, we'll have a Let's Go See a Forever Purge next week on Horror
That would be
Addicts,
awesome.
That is in the plans. Also, what just dropped today was Fear Street 1666.
Yes, so let's. That's a good segue. Let's talk about the Fear Street movies. So we've seen 1994 and we've seen 1978.
We haven't seen the other one because I just got off work and now we're doing this. So we're probably gonna watch it tonight.
So the Fear Street movies. It has a lot of the vibe of the books, particularly like my favorite ones, which were the more supernatural ones, like the cheerleader ones, and then they did an old school betrayal series. Mm-hmm. A lot of the Fear Street books are more just murder mysteries, and there's nothing supernatural in them. So it's really more kind of going towards that aspect of Fear Street books. So if you're a big fan of them like I was, I will be doing a review of these just because I was such a big fan. I read every single one of these books the moment they came out. And I really loved it. As far as 1994, I loved because I was a teenager in the 90s. I was a teenager in 1994. Very nostalgic. Yes, I know the songs don't perfectly line up, but it's got the vibe of it. And it did feel, it was very nostalgic. I had fun with the music and some of the clothes. And I love that the first opening kill is shot for shot the first kill of Scream, which is probably the most successful horror movie of the 90s.
Yeah, it's actually, I think, the most highest grossing slasher of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first three are the top three grossing slashers of all time. I think it just gets, and 4 is not, but whatever. Yeah, I loved it. I loved the 91.
I love what they did with the lighting in that one. They did so much in there to create a tone and an atmosphere. It's got these like bright purples and blue lights. It's also very good with representation. We've got some good LGBTQ representation. We've got some multiracial characters. So I really was down with that, and I like that it wasn't done in a way that felt disingenuous. It felt it felt real.
Yeah. And it's pretty gruesome and violent. One of my favorite kills of all time so far of this year, anyways, is in that movie. But yet it still has that R.L. Stine kind of silly vibe, which is a fun vibe. I like that. But like the Goosebump movies, it's, like you said, it's not just one specific story. It's like kind of a collage of a lot of the stories put into its own unique movie. And
my mummy, Nettie Yale, says Greenland was the best movie of the year so far. So definitely check that out. I know I need to check it out still. I think it's on HBO Plus. And thank you, Mummy.
Yes, thanks, Mom. Really appreciate that.
She gave us $10, honey. We can go see a movie. Well, one of us can. You're staying home. Well, we got other donations. You can go too.
Yeah, we're going to go see some movies.
Take you out, baby.
We took Lals to see Jaws last night. I know it's not technically a 2021 movie, but we saw it in the theater in 2021, and it still holds up. I love Jaws.
It was wonderful seeing him experience it on the big screen for the first time. He jumped out of his skin when Hopper finds the fisherman in the boat.
There's a couple other parts that really had him jumping, too.
It's just watching it with that big sound and that big screen. It's a totally different experience, even if you've seen the movie a dozen times. Mm-hmm. And hello, my Des. We were talking about you earlier and how wonderful you are.
Yeah,
we love you.
Your awesome review.
Your review of P.G. Goreman was highly praised, which I have seen and I can attest to.
Yes. Check out a lot of her reviews.
And if you don't know, Dice and I, we freaky girls. We like to get freaky every month on Freaky Girls Live. So with our girls Laura and Serena, the whole gang. So check out that channel, subscribe, and you will see us talk about movies and being really, really ridiculous.
So what'd you think about 1978?
So 1978, now unpopular opinion here, as much as I loved the nostalgia of the first one, I do need to watch 1994 again. I was watching it and I'm trying to follow all the different killers and stuff, and I was getting a little like, okay, what the fuck's going on here? Because there's a lot of killers introduced, and I felt like they were throwing a lot of things at me, and I was having a hard time following where it was all going. I personally enjoyed 1978 better because it focuses on just one killer. You kind of get a little bit of that larger universe, but I liked the more focused storyline. I also enjoyed the characters. I thought the characters were a little more likable. I think because it got more screen time because there wasn't so many of these extra things that they needed to put in. Not that I didn't like the characters in the first one. I just liked the ones in 1978 better. And again, they did a wonderful job with that 70s lighting, that 70s soundtrack. I was not alive in the 70s. My mother would have been 18. But I imagine for anybody who was alive then, it's going to bring that nostalgia. And somebody who's watched a lot of movies from the 70s, I definitely got that vibe.
Yeah. Speaking of the music of these movies, Jay from Blood Bath & Beyond, just have to say, he tweeted something hilarious today. He apparently was watching the 1666 one, and he complained that is not the music that was popular back then.
I saw that tweet too. That was he nailed it. I mean,
unless they're like blowing in a jug, they're probably, yeah.
But for me, I gave them the same rating. If you follow me on Letterboxd, for me, they are both 3-star movies. I think they are both good. I think I kind of want to see it as a whole before, I really have a final opinion on it. I want to review those on my channel. They're good. They feel slightly unorganized. The score, not the soundtrack, is a little aggressive in places. That's my biggest complaint about it.
Silly in some other places.
A little silly, but the performances all around are great. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I'd probably rank them a little higher than you, but I do agree that I give them the same star rating. I think I slightly like the 90s one more, but it's still the same star rating.
For me, they're pretty on par, and they did a good job of, even though they had very different vibes and tones, they mesh well together. They feel like they're part of the same universe, and it's cool to have this big movie event where people are looking forward to the next film. I want to see more of that kind of thing. Lee Janiak, who did Honeymoon, is the director. I think she did a fantastic job. And as far as comparing the kills, I think a few of the kills are more creative in 1994, but overall they are bloodier and just they deliver more as far as the gore goes in 1978. Yeah. They're not as creative as they were in 1994.
Yeah.
So like my pros and cons kind of balance out in both of them. They're different for each, but they're pretty much neck and neck for me. Mm-hmm. I need to revisit 1994 though. I've seen 1978 twice.
And I think maybe later tonight, like when we're all done streaming on both channels, then maybe we'll check out that new one that just dropped.
100%.
We'll see where we're at that point. I want to bring up Till Death because I had a great time. I wasn't expecting much. I mean, it looked pretty good, and honestly, I didn't have much other than like a vague description of what it was about. But I really...
Dice, you were born in 1994. I could have been your teen mom.
Yeah, she's youngin'.
Whoa, wow, I did not know that.
She's a 90s kid.
Wow, that's so crazy.
Right?
I could be her teen mom. I'm going to just tell people I'm her teen mom. Start that rumor.
I would have been like your 11-year-old big brother.
I mean, I was like not super old, but I was like what, 14? It's possible. Is all we're saying. If I was a Randy 14-year-old.
Randy. If I make you Randy.
Which I wasn't. But let's just pretend so I can be Dice's teen mom.
So, Megan Fox came back for another horror movie. Despite a lot of people's chagrin and a lot of people who wanted it back. There's a lot of both in both camps. Some people hate Megan Fox. Some people find her delightful. I depend on what we're watching. I think with action movies... she is very dry, and that's just how she presents herself. So when it's a big Transformer movie, and I mean, I would act probably dry in front of a big green screen, pretending all these CGI robots are flying around too.
Have you watched your videos?
Yeah.
You're kind of dry, but I love it in that British way.
I don't think it works for those type of movies, and it makes her probably come off as a bad actress. But in certain movies, like Jennifer's Body, which I think was just marketed wrong, I think that really comes out great. It's pretty funny deliveries there's some funny shit she says in Till Death here.
I think the problem Megan Fox had is she's gorgeous. And she initially got like a lot of teen movies. Like she was in Confessions of a Drama Queen. And then she got Transformers, and she pretty much just got the hot babe in the movie thing. And I think the reason why her performances are kind of lackluster in that and TMNT and stuff is because that's not what she wants to do. If you watch her in more serious roles, she is a good actress. I think she puts her all into them. I love Jennifer's Body. I loved it when I saw it in the theater when it came out. And I was really surprised that so many people would shit on it, and then I'd be like, but have you seen it? And then they hadn't seen it. I'm like, well, you need to watch it. You can't just hate on it because Megan Fox is in it. And you need to put that out of your head and just watch it as a movie because it's very, very funny. It was just poorly marketed. It's marketed towards men. It's a girls' movie, just like, Mean Girls is. And I think both genders can appreciate it, but it's not a movie you watch just because you think Megan Fox is hot. You watch it because you want a great story, and it's a great story. Till Death is a great story, and I also think it's perfect for the age that Megan Fox is at now. She is not a teenager anymore. She's not a little girl. This is a more mature role. In this one, it's a little bit of, I guess, Panic Room meets Gerald's Game.
Yeah.
It's very metaphoric. She's tied to an unhappy marriage. Like, she feels like she's held down by this guy, and she's having an affair, but she ends it because she doesn't feel right about it. But she's not perfect. None of her characters are perfect in this, but I think they're very understandable. And her husband, for their anniversary, he's very controlling. Like, I didn't like him at all. And then he takes her off to this cabin that they used to spend a lot of time at when they were younger. And it looks like he's really making an effort to meet her, in the middle and kind of repair their marriage.
Yeah, he's being very sweet, and a little controlling on the way there, but at least he's trying really hard, it seems like. He's really gone all out for this, and then, that's a red flag, though, for this guy. That is a big red flag from this guy.
Spoil too much about this movie. I'm going to keep it vague, but let's just say they end up handcuffed together, and he ends up dead. And on top of that, again, it's so hard not to spoil this movie, but she's handcuffed to a dead man, and then there are people who come into the house who want to kill her. So you need to suspend a little bit of disbelief here, because there's a couple parts in there where I'm like, why doesn't she just do this? But, I mean, it's a movie, roll with it, and I think, I've never been in that situation, so I don't know what I would do in this situation. She also does a lot of stuff that I wouldn't be smart enough to do, so I don't know. You gotta go with it. You gotta roll with it. It's good. It's entirely, Chris Stuckman gave a great review of this movie. He said it's entirely the thing that, screenwriters or aspiring screenwriters need to watch, because it's a one location, it's sharply written, it's got great tone, it's very, very good. And it's something that movie studios, it's appealing to movie studios because it's something that you can do easy on a low budget.
Yeah. She's trying to fight for her life while she's tied to the dead version of the guy who ruined her life. Yeah,
so it really works as like this metaphor of being like handcuffed to, the ball and chain, whereas I think honestly it's kind of a good double feature with Jacob's Wife, because they both deal with marriages that are well past the honeymoon stage and are stagnant. And in one of them, you see a couple struggle, but I think ultimately show strength in their marriage. And then in another one,
one guy dies, obviously.
Well, yeah, you see somebody kind of recovering from the mental, abuse of a bad marriage.
See, that's the thing. The title is actually a lie, because she's stuck with him a little longer at least, if not all the way after death. He's still a burden to her.
In those marriages where people, you either grow to love each other or you grow to hate each other, and it's amazing the extent of the spite in this relationship, how far he is willing to go to punish her even after death. It truly deserves to be called a horror movie, and it's fun, it's thrilling, it's, creative, but it's still a very tight script.
Yeah. So what's your next one?
All right, we got 15 more minutes. We still can finish. Basically, we're going to just do this until we run out of movies, until we run out of time. One that's actually in my top 5 that I'm surprised we haven't mentioned yet is Censor.
Oh, Censor's good.
I am big into, horror history and learning about, changes in the regulations for horror movies, just the atmosphere of horror movies. I feel like what's happening in the world actually can be represented in horror movies and stuff. When we were afraid of, Cold War bombing, we got all those atomic monster movies.
Yeah.
There's a correlation there. And so I think it's fun to explore the history. And if you're like that, if you're a movie nerd, this is entirely the movie for you, because it takes place during the Video Nasties era in the UK. And I'm, of course, a horror fan, so I've always viewed it from the point of view of the horror fan. How dare they cut out all the best parts of the horror movie, and how dare they determine what I'm allowed to see? Mm-hmm. I've always had that opinion of it, and I've always thought that was one of the worst times for horror movies because of all the regulations. Well, in this movie, we follow a woman who is a censor, and I actually felt really sorry for her, because she has all this. One, she's not into horror movies. She has to watch grisly shit that I would enjoy, but she doesn't enjoy all day long. So it's I guess me watching, I don't know, the fucking Expendables movies or something. But yeah, she has to watch all this shit, and then she does the same shit I do, though, writing down all the kills and stuff, and then she recommends what they need to do if they want to be passable to get a release. And she's also very scarred because she had an incident when she was a child where her sister went missing. She doesn't entirely remember what happened, and so she blames herself, and she's still grieving a sister that she believes is still out there, so she can't really get that closure. Her family wants closure. They just want to basically say, okay, you know what, she's, dead, because we never found the body. Enough time has passed by. Let's just, let's bury her and move on. Bury her, emotionally and move on. And she's not ready to do that. Well, the inciting incident of this movie is she's watching one of these movies that she has to review, and she's convinced that she sees something there that's jogging a memory from when her sister went missing. And that sends her down this rabbit hole to see, if she can actually find her sister. And, it's cool, because the deeper we get into this film, the more the real world becomes like that Video Nasty world, the coloring and stuff. The way they did the Video Nasties, the movies, movies filmed on film in that era, looks very authentic. The performances are great. It's so fascinating, and I think it's just a treat for movie nerds.
Yeah, I feel like she's kind of losing her sanity, and the more the movie changes to be like a video nasty is the more that she can't really tell what's even real anymore, and she's just kind of losing it. She's very desperate, but she also has a very jaded past, so it's like, I don't think like maybe someone like that should have been a censor just because of her past, but
I think
it's very interesting.
It appeals to everybody because we all have that moment in our lives where, like, if I could go back and do it all differently, I would. Mm-hmm. And, you know, for her, she can't even remember what happened. And so, you know, she can't move on. And I think, you know, just that idea of something that you wish you could take back, you wish you could do right a second time. And it's interesting because how it plays into movies. And, you know, we can rewatch movies again and again, but they don't change. You know, and it's, I don't know, it's one of those ones that's ripe for discussion and theory, and I don't want to get too far into it because I'm going to get into spoiler territory, but you need to see Censor. It's a harder one to find, but you can find it, I think you can find it through, like, Vudu and some of the other streaming platforms.
Yeah. I mean, it also just kind of shows that it would be hard to do that job because at one point she lets a movie get passed, I mean, with a few cuts and stuff.
Yes.
And then someone does a very similar kill in real life, and she's in a lot of trouble now because she let that movie go by, it didn't get banned, and then someone mimicked it and did that to their family.
And, yeah, I was alive in
She's
the
blamed
80s.
for it.
I was a little kid, so I don't entirely know a lot of firsthand of what this was like. But in the 80s, in the UK, it was illegal. If a movie was dubbed a video nasty, it was illegal to have this movie. It was illegal to rent this movie out. It was illegal for stores to carry it, but sometimes they'd have it in, like, that back room. And it was kind of less like how people, you know, would make their own moonshine or whatever. Like, you had to prove that you basically weren't a narc if you wanted to get these movies.
Yeah.
And, and what I do remember from that period of time is there was a lot of times where somebody would end up dead and they would blame a fucking movie. Like, I remember the one that sticks out to me is a little boy who was killed by two other little boys, and they blamed Child's Play 3.
Yeah, that was nasty.
And it's like, Child's Play 3 didn't... No, something else went wrong here, but it wasn't Child's Play 3's fault.
No.
So you see it from the point of view of the censor who then has this, like, burden of... You know, everyone's like, why did you let that movie get past you? And I never really thought of, like, what that burden would be like. And it brings up a lot of, you know, interesting ways of looking at, you know, can movies or music or anything like that, can art make us do horrible things?
My question for censors, especially here in the UK, or not in the UK, but here in the USA, where they just have, like, random people rotating in and out just to kind of censor things, like, how many of them have gone crazy and killed their families because they're clearly watching these movies? And if it's not affecting them like that, why would it affect everyone else like that?
I also liked their discussions, too, about what to cut out and stuff. They're like, you need to cut out a few seconds of this eye gouge, but the decapitation's fine because it looks ridiculous. Basically, the more real something was, the more it had to be cut. And the other thing, too, is the reason for the video nasties, which I don't remember if it was really addressed in this movie or not, but they were really afraid that some of these movies were actually snuff films.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of well known that Cannibal Holocaust, the director of that, was taken to court, and he had to prove that those people were still alive when he had basically told them to make themselves scarce for a year to make the movie look more believable.
Yeah.
And he had to prove it, and it was a whole ordeal because people were convinced it was a snuff film. So, yeah, it's really interesting, kind of nerdy, but I don't know. You guys are going to love it. Watch it. It's so good. It's beautiful.
Brandon, I'm with you. Watching Hallmark Christmas movies and censoring those would be hell. I would ban them all. They're rotting people's minds.
Yeah, except for that one horror one, Letters to Krampus. Letters to Satan. That was good.
Satan. Is that a Hallmark,
all right,
though?
we got 9 minutes, so let's briefly touch on a few...
We can go a little late. 10 minutes started late.
We did?
We started 10 minutes late.
Okay, we'll go a little late, but the next...
not much. Thank you, Mom. Didn't know what the video nasties was until you filled me in. Need to leave it more often. Danny gets to go to the movies too. Yay!
Yeah, and it's not just a UK thing too.
No.
I mean, the video nasties did affect other parts of the English speaking world. I don't know much about what was going on in the rest of the world, but in America before that we had the Hays Code. So censorship is just a really interesting aspect of horror movies and how it's affected horror movies. And unfortunately, until recently, we didn't have home video. So a lot of times if something got cut, it was lost forever, which just sucks.
Yeah, it hit that floor and never came back. Check out This Movie Is Not Yet Rated. It is a great documentary of how it is censored here in America. And, it kind of sucks. But...
And different countries censor things differently. Like, in America, can only say like one F-bomb, but you can have like the fucking Grudge where she's crawling. To me, that's a lot scarier than some of the stuff that they'd cut out, like a Jason kill or something. Like the imagery of, you know, Kayako coming down those stairs, or Sadako Samara coming out of the TV, I think is a lot scarier, but it's the way they censor things, and particularly how they censor sex.
Yeah. Because
America is very kind of prudish with sex.
It goes for video games, too, and Germany's really different about it. They'll, like, make things zombies with green blood just because, like, if it's a first-person shooter, you have to be that. Or if even sometimes they get rid of zombies and they're like, well, they're dinosaurs. They change things so differently.
It's really fascinating. Really fascinating stuff. And I think you appreciate the movies that we have that got past these censors during the Hays Code, during Video Nasties, during some of these really restrictive eras, so much more. You know, and then you also see how that affected movies, because like right after Hays Code, we got some really grisly things like Night of the Living Dead, and we got Exorcist, like things got intense. And then you get the Video Nasties era, and then that's when you get your neutered freaking Jason films and stuff. And, you know, it all, I don't know. It's interesting, but that's a discussion for another day. Okay, some quick ones we should mention. Spiral.
Great acting. Fairly okay plot. There's some problems there, but the ending is where it kind of falls apart for me. It really just kind of gives up, and it's not a big, like, it makes a big deal about how the ending is, but then it's just like, wait, that's the ending.
But I had a great time at this movie. I mean,
Chris Rock was great.
I recognize all the flaws. I greatly enjoyed Chris Rock. I predicted the ending. I think the ending was kind of unimaginative and doesn't really work. But I had a great time at this movie. You guys know how sometimes you can watch movies and you're like, well, it doesn't really work that well, but I had a good time. I think if you like Saw movies, you're going to have a good time. The kills were good. Now, interestingly enough, a movie that I will say is technically a better movie that I didn't have as much of a good time at was Quiet Place 2. I know everybody loves this. Totally not saying you were wrong. It's just my personal opinion. For me, this one felt almost like an anthology. I liked the family structure in the first one so much, but the family isn't really together much in this movie. It's beautifully shot. It's Oscar-winning performances, but the story just wasn't there the way it was in Quiet Place 1. I really wanted to see this family and how they were growing together, and you know, we didn't really get that. And I feel like the trailers were misleading too, because it looked like we were going to see more of the other survivors and how, like, you know, some of them were a threat, and it's such a small part of this movie.
Yeah, I like The Quiet Place too, but it doesn't progress the story like you said. It just kind of, here's these little side adventures. And
it almost felt like the first act of a movie. Like, right when the climax happened, I'm like, oh God, we're already here? Like, it felt like it was just finally getting going. It felt like nothing was happening.
I love the prequel stuff, though. I love all that.
Oh, I love that, too.
I wish it would have honestly just been a prequel. Yeah, if it was just a prequel and they just focused on all that, I think I would have liked it a lot more. But it was good, though. I mean, the acting was great.
Just that script was so messy, and if you are one of those people who gets frustrated by characters making dumb decisions, this one's going to make you shout at the screen, because it certainly made me, and I forgive some dumb fucking decisions, because you know what? In all honesty, I would make some dumb decisions in these situations, but there's one in here where I'm just like, just why? Why would you do that?
Sorry, I'm really intrigued by this conversation the mayor and Dice are having about zombie dinosaurs.
I kind of want to go back and read this. I want to give a shout out to Moon Over Miami.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't met you before, but welcome.
Welcome to Horror Addicts. Pull up a chair.
And we're going to have another stream right after this, so look in those description below and head on over to my channel, Gory B Movie for the Worst Of.
Yeah, that'll be at 8:30.
Another one I want to mention, a couple other ones I want to mention before we go that were kind of like middle tier for me. They were not the best of, but they belong in ones I like. Amusement Park. Okay, so this is a Lost George Romero film. It was made as a PSA. So you need to remember that. It was not made as a horror film. Mm-hmm. So if you don't go into it expecting a horror film, I think it does what a PSA does. It challenges your views. It makes you think about elder abuse. It makes you think about how old people are treated by society, how they are not given as much respect. It does that very effectively. He was commissioned by the Lutheran Church, and then they decided it was too fucking scary, and it was shelved indefinitely. I don't know if it really works well as a horror movie. It definitely did what it needed to do as a PSA. I watched that, and I was like, you know, really emotional watching it. It really made me like want to call, you know, up the grandparents and just be like, hey, I appreciate you. It did what a PSA should do. Unfortunately, I just think it's hard to market a PSA as a horror movie. So the entertainment value isn't quite there, but intellectually, like, it's definitely doing what a PSA needs to do. It's making you think.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Godzilla for whooping Kong's ass.
You know, I gotta say, I despite unpopular opinion here, I really liked the first Godzilla. I liked the more character-based story.
You couldn't even see the fights in that one. They always turned away.
I know, and I was
this one, they're finally, everybody wanted, I just want them in broad daylight, and that's what you got, finally.
I was hoping with the second Godzilla movie we would get both, and I thought that was fucking boring. Unpopular opinion, but I was like, what the actual fuck is this? How am I bored at Godzilla? And then this one came out, I'm like, okay, this is perfect. I'm entertained. I got monster fights. I got my King Kong. I got my Godzilla. I'm still getting... Actually, it was the character stuff was like... I don't know. I feel like
there's less
they
of it,
actually did a really interesting thing here where they made me view Godzilla and King Kong more as characters. They gave Kong particularly a lot of personality, so I didn't need that human element that I needed in like the first Godzilla movie as much.
I think that's why there's less. I mean, they're still in there, but it's less. I think because at this point they just feel like the characters can kind of carry it on their own. And like I said, they finally fight in broad daylight. Like, there's no in a storm. It's no at dark. There's no panning away. It's like, look, Kong's getting punched right in the face. Godzilla's getting kicked in the chest.
And my mom's been talking about this movie a lot. I care a lot. It sounds like a really great thriller, one I need to check out. Mom, you need to watch Amusement Park, because definitely I think as far as the horrors of getting older and that kind of thing, for me, I think Amusement Park really was an eye-opener for me. And, you know, just made me appreciate the older members of our society a little bit more. And just, you know, I'm going to be part of that aspect of society one day soon, you know.
Yeah.
So it makes you kind of like, you want to be the person that you want people to be when you're old.
It might not have been a good movie, but I really liked Benny Loves You. Like, I thought that was hilarious. Like, I liked
Benny Loves You is, for me, such a mixed bag because the script, I feel like the script had some really funny parts where I was laughing out loud and some parts where I'm just like, oh, what the fuck? Some of the performances were not great. It's an extremely low budget, but I found the effects charming. But I did laugh a lot. It has a surprising amount of heart in it. It won't be for everybody. It's very British humor. I think, you know, I'm British, so I really liked it.
I liked it.
But I still thought some of it was trying a little too hard, which you kind of get with some indie movies sometimes. They just try a little too hard.
It's about just, like, kind of like Toy Story 3. You know, the grumpy bear who got, like, thrown away by a girl, so then he, like, was mean and evil towards other toys. But instead of being mean and evil to other toys, these toys that got thrown away is from childhoods seek revenge on those who threw them away, and basically anybody else who stands in their way.
Yeah,
and
it makes you feel guilty for growing up. But I think what's interesting about it is particularly, you know, I guess the oldest a millennial can be, born in 1981. As millennials, we're kind of viewed as people who are not willing to let go of their childhood, who are very big on nostalgia, and I entirely agree with that. And it makes you actually feel kind of guilty for anything that you are leaving behind. Because I think so many of us don't want to let go of our childhood. But there are also those of us who are afraid to, because they're afraid they're going to lose maybe who they were when they thought they were better, or when they were happier. And it has a surprising amount of heart to it. Yeah. Even though it's very funny and very goofy. I also love when Dice says something's interesting. That's very polite Dice talk for. Didn't quite love it. Like, Dice is not going back long enough. I understand her lingo.
Like, I remember it was in there. It had a lasting effect, but I don't know if I liked it.
She polite.
Yeah, probably because I said I liked it.
And a couple other ones I just want to mention because we're going to wrap it up here in about 9 minutes. One that, again, it was solid. Not one of my favorites, but solid, and one I think a lot of people might have missed, is streaming on Shudder, is Boys of County Hell. I love this one because it's really hard to give me a vampire movie I haven't fucking seen before, because I've seen a lot of fucking vampire movies. We all have seen a lot of vampire movies. You guys are all horror fans. You know, I know you guys have too, and it's like zombie movies where I'm, just when I think I'm fucking done, they pull me back in, bitch! And Boys of County Hell is a very unique mythos of vampires based in Ireland, which is where, according to this movie, the vampire legend was born. That's where, according to this movie, Bram Stoker found the legend. And my favorite part about this is when the vampires are near, it actually pulls blood out of you. So you start bleeding from your eyes, your nose, and it goes to the vampire. Like, it was visually a treat. It's really, really funny. A lot of that kind of, European humor, Irish humor, which is pretty close to British humor. It was a lot of fun. One you should definitely check out. It's streaming on Shudder. Hey, Gory Bits, my fellow Gory.
What's up, Gory Bits? And Dice, I trust you.
I love how classy Dice is. One day I'm going to get classier. I need to be classy like
Classy to say, if I say a movie is shit, it's shit.
Or how she says bonjour.
Oh, bonjour.
I'm her unclassy teen mom.
Yeah. Oh, what's up, Ben Grimm?
Ben Grimm! I miss Ben Grimm so much.
It's just in time for us to be wrapping this up.
One of the things I do, because I'm on Letterboxd, I always check out, Ben has seen more movies than me, which is a lot. And I watch a lot of fucking movies. Ben watches everything.
On Letterboxd, yeah.
I always check out Ben's reviews on Letterboxd, so Ben knows what's up. I also want to talk about 3 more movies before we head out. I want to talk about Army of the Dead. Really liked it. Dawn of the Dead is better. It's a lot of the same humor, but dear fucking God, why is it 2.5 hours long? It has no right being 2.5 hours long. And it's just too fucking long. Had they cut it down to a regular movie length, you would have a solid zombie movie there. It's good, it's decent, it's worth watching if you have the time. If you don't, watch his...
Batista was cool.
Watch Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. Mm-hmm. It's a lesser Dawn of the Dead. Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, not Romero. Slacks, a lot of people like that. I liked the novelty of seeing Pants kill someone, because I ain't never seen that before, and it's hard to surprise me.
I've only seen the ending. I came in at the very end of you watching it, but I think I saw enough.
I saw some cool kills. The humor didn't really land for me that much, but I think it's kind of like humor from The Office, but for some reason it just didn't hit me. I love The Office, so I don't know. It's kind of dry humor. It didn't quite work with me that well, but I liked the kills. And it does, it's got some interesting things to say. And another one I was very mixed on, but I think it deserves to be on this list, is Lucky. I like what they're trying to say here. It's a woman who every single night the same guy tries to kill her. I just thought in the third act it got way too fucking preachy. And she finds out that basically all women have some guy who tries to kill them every night. I don't know. I think it's worth seeing if you watch a lot of movies and you just want to see something kind of different. A different kind of time loop movie. But that is definitely the lowest of the ones I would recommend to you guys. Definitely at the higher tier, which are the ones we mentioned at the start of this stream.
Not horror, but very violent and some fun violence and some good comedy in it was Nobody. I think that's worth checking out. Mortal Kombat. Okay, Scorpion and Sub-Zero. That was great. Everything else about that movie, not so much.
That's going on my worst of list.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit more of that later.
All right, so guys, we're at the 8:05 mark. We're going to take a brief intermission here. I want to see all of you over on my channel. It's very easy to find me. Go to YouTube/GoryBMovie.
Leave me down in the comments. What was your favorite movie so far? I didn't read much about that, but I would love to answer all those comments, so please.
Yeah, we're going to chat for about 5 more minutes with you guys, just talking to you guys, reading your comments. I want to know what your picks are for best, because like I said, we haven't watched everything yet. There's a lot of movies I want to see that I haven't seen yet.
Actually, what would you like to see?
Top of my list right now, well, I want to see the new Fear Street.
Oh, yeah. We'll probably see that tonight.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's probably the one I'm most excited to watch right now. I also really want to watch Come True. There's a few. I really want to watch The Stylist.
Okay.
Ben Grimm says he's loving the Fear Street series for best. I really want to. I feel like, I've posted them on Letterboxd and stuff, but I feel like to really give it its proper due, I want to watch them all 3 back to back. And then I'm actually going to do something I don't ever do on my channel and review some new release movies. I'm going to review those 3 because I just loved those books so much. It was such a part of my upbringing.
Yeah.
Fairpoint Station says Come True is great, which is what I'm hearing a lot, and I want to see that very, very soon. Wow, yeah, definitely. Thank you for that recommendation because that's to the top of my list right now. Yeah, an Unquiet Grave, A Ghost Waits. There's a few. I've rented them. I haven't watched them yet. They're just sitting there.
Just you get there.
Haven't seen the Tomorrow War. It just doesn't really look like my cup of tea. But if it's got some horrific elements in it, maybe. I don't know. I like Chris Pratt.
There's a lot of non-horror that I'm looking forward to that's hopefully going to hit the theaters this year. So, but there's also a lot of horror that I really got to see. So,
Nice.
Candyman. I'm looking forward to Candyman. I don't know if I'm going to love it, but I'm looking forward to watching it.
Ben says Gaia was good, and I believe Horror Guru gave that recommendation too. A nice eco horror. Mm-hmm. And we did talk about Saint Maud earlier, False Proxy section, so you can go back and hear my thoughts on that. Danny hasn't seen it yet, but I think
I'll be watching very soon.
I think he's gonna like it.
Yeah. And Ben, if you didn't talk, we talked about the Fear Streets as well. We like them. They
in the chat here, I just want to post my YouTube channel. That's where in half an hour, we're going to continue with the worst of the year. So it's youtube.com/Gory B movie. So that is where we're going to be for the worst of at in half an hour. So it's 8:30 Pacific time. I think it's 11:30 Eastern time. Less than half an hour, actually.
So, we'll all see you soon. Keep leaving us comments. If you didn't catch this live, leave us comments. I will get to them. And I'm sorry.
Absolutely listen to what you're looking forward to, too. Because, you know, we do go see a lot of movies at the theater. We don't always do a let's see. Yeah. Because we're not always sure it's something you guys want to hear about. Sometimes we're also a little late. But if it's one that we know that you guys are really anticipating, like I know you guys wanted to see that Halloween Kills, we're going to make a point to try and see it opening day and get you that let's go see it here on Horror Addicts.
Yeah, it's been a rough year for me.
Elvira's Haunted Hills is getting a collector's edition release? Oh, God. That DVD is like $50 freaking dollars. It is so hard to find, and it's been on my wish list. Aw, damn. I'm glad it's finally getting Blu-ray. They just did a collector's edition through Arrow. So nice, Brandon. That's some good news.
Fuck yeah. But... yeah, I mean, I think the last two live streams we did were the last two Oscars, so I'm at least giving you one in between this year.
And I apologize. He's working on a video that's a little rough for him because his grandma passed away this year. She's in the video, something we filmed before she passed away, so it's taken him some time. I know you guys are cool and you understand. You know, Danny's usually pretty good with posting content, and me... on the channel I'm doing right now, I've kind of bitten off a little more than I can chew because I do all this research and I go down these rabbit holes and I think it's so fascinating, and I do these really intense deep dives, and I did a really big deep dive on Grizzly 2. It's like a half-hour long video. It will be up within the next few days. It's almost done, but it's taken me well over a month. Just like Eyes Without a Face took me, a few months. I think when I'm done with this, I'm going to do some real versus reals. I'm going to do some ones I can get out a lot quicker because I do work on videos every single day. It's just these videos take so long.
That porridge bowl was a little too big. Maybe you should have...
It really was. I just really hope you guys want to hear half an hour about Grizzly fucking 2.
And a lot of bear puns.
So many bear puns. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, we will see you in about 20, 25 minutes on Gory's channel. So...